Augusta is finally here, and she's breaking all the ceilings of damage, easily cementing herself as the strongest electro DPS we've seen so far. But this raises a big question. How F2P friendly is she really? Can Augusta deliver similar, or at least close to similar, total damage in both her premium teams with Iuno and Phrolova, and also with more free-to-play setups using Mortefi and Verina? We'll also compare her against some of the strongest DPS units in the game and see exactly where she stands as an F2P pick compared to flexible units like Camellia and Qiuyuan, who is F2P and, just like Augusta, relies heavily on his heavy attack damage.
Before we continue, if you're planning a top-up, check out today's sponsor, Loot Bar. They've got some really solid deals right now. A 21% discount, even cheaper than buying in-game. You can self-top up quickly and easily. Loot Bar is completely safe with excellent Trustpilot reviews and one of the best options for Wuwa top-ups. Just click the top link in the description to check it out. And new users also get an extra 10% off when signing up. And yep, our weekly giveaway is live. Just comment below and join our Discord server to participate. Full details are in the description.
So let's start with weapons. Augusta's strongest option is obviously her signature weapon. Right behind it is Qiuyuan's signature, coming in at only about an 8% difference lower. That means if you already have his weapon, you're actually in a very good spot. But here's where things start to drop off. With the free standard weapon, Lustrous Razor, Augusta's damage falls by nearly 30%, which is the option most players will probably end up using. Among the 4-star choices, both RE8 Zenith R5 and Autumn Trace R5 perform similarly to Lustrous Razor, keeping her in that same mid-tier bracket. Now, that might sound harsh, but compared to other recent DPS units, Augusta's F2P options are actually pretty decent. Take Cartethyia, for example. Her second best weapon already lags behind by around 20%, while many standard 5-star swords trail by more than 25% compared to her signature. So, to sum it up, if you don't have Augusta's signature, Qiuyuan's signature is your best fallback. And if you don't have either Lustrous Razor or the best 4 stars, we'll still keep her solid, just not at her peak. Now, moving on to her sequences. Augusta is very well designed at S0, meaning she doesn't lock her full power behind constellations. Her chains are smooth, and her damage is consistent without leaving you feeling like you're missing something critical. Of course, higher sequences still offer major jumps. From S0 to S3, her personal damage rises by about 67%, and by S6, it more than doubles, reaching over 220% compared to baseline. For team DPS, those jumps are just as impressive. S3 gives roughly 45% more damage, while S6 nearly doubles team output at around 90% more. But the important takeaway here is this: she doesn't feel incomplete at S0. You can run her perfectly fine without constellations, which makes her very F2P friendly by design. Now, let's transition into her echo setups. Augusta can comfortably run the standard 3-piece plus 2-piece combo. Her best option is 2-piece Void Thunder, followed closely by 2-piece Attack. The actual performance gap is minimal. For example, the Electro plus ATK mix is only about 4% weaker than baseline, while Lingering Tunes is less than 1% behind. So what does this mean? It means Augusta has a lot of flexibility.
Now let's move into her teams. Augusta's strongest lineups will always revolve around 2 major units, Mortefi and Iuno. Iuno is the stronger option, since he's currently one of the only true heavy attack buffers in the game, along with Phrolova. For her pure F2P teams, your second slot will almost always be Mortefi, followed by someone like Verina or even by G. This is her lowest investment team setup. The next step up in investment is replacing Verina with someone stronger, for example Phrolova, Yinlin, or even a sub-DPS like Brant, who also benefits Mortefi's buffs. In this kind of team, you'd typically start your rotation with Brant, then swap into Mortefi, and finally unleash Augusta. From here, the next jump in power is adding Shorekeeper or Iuno. Her top-end teams are either Iuno plus Phrolova or Iuno plus Shorekeeper. Even Shorekeeper and Mortefi together perform surprisingly close to her absolute best teams. Now let's compare her F2P value against some of the strongest DPS in the game.
In testing, Xiangli was teamed up with Shorekeeper and Yinlin. While his performance was decent for a free character, he struggled to maintain efficiency across rotations, which lowered his overall value. Now, let's compare that with Augusta. Even without her best-in-slot buffers, she delivered significantly stronger performance and cleared content more smoothly. A big part of Augusta's advantage comes from her time stoppage mechanic. It freezes buff durations and pauses the endgame timer, a huge advantage for high-level clears. The downside is that it also pauses cooldowns for her entire team, but the overall trade-off is still heavily in her favor. She also handles multiple targets far better thanks to her Focus Echo, her special heavy attacks, and the large area of effect from her Resonance Liberation. And again, these results came without her top support options, which means she still has untapped potential. So the conclusion is clear. Augusta outperforms Xiangli in every way, offering higher damage, faster clears, and more flexible team options even with F2P setups. This places Xiangli's viability significantly lower in the current meta.
Take Cartethyia, for example. Her overall team damage falls off heavily if you don't have Psychana, making her far more restrictive. Meanwhile, Augusta doesn't rely on any single must-pull unit, which actually makes her a higher priority pull, even though Cartethyia may be technically stronger in her perfect setup. And if we talk about Xiangli, it's not even close. Her damage without Phoebe falls so low in the DPS tier list that Augusta completely outshines her. This is why Augusta is currently considered a top 3 DPS in the game, right next to Cartethyia and Xiangli, but with far better FTP accessibility than either of them. Even compared to older units like Camellia and Qiuyuan, who have always been regarded as some of the most F2P-friendly DPS options, Augusta's total team damage is way ahead. And that makes sense. She's a brand new character, designed to push the ceiling higher while still being accessible. So, we've now looked at Augusta's weapons, her constellations, her echo sets, and her teams, and compared her to both the strongest and the most flexible DPS units in the game. Now the choice is yours. Is Augusta the better pick for your account? And before you head out, don't forget to join the giveaway and share your opinions down below in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.